Fresh meat.
Glad we made this. Apologize for the delay, and good to see you.
Yes, pleasure. Thank you for taking your time. I won't waste your time. I'll jump right in. So my first question is, at the end of Cold Day in Hell to Shrieker Island, what has been Bert's journey? And I guess as an actor, if they don't really fill that in for you, like, how do you kind of find your place?
Well, at the end of A Cold Day in Hell, Bert, his default always is to be by himself, to go away and have nothing to do with humanity. So my presumption is, whenever he's not fighting Graboids, he is simply sitting in his bunker and brooding about the end of the world, brooding about nuclear, biological, or social upheaval. And so, of course, people have asked me, what do you think Bert would have been regarding COVID? I said, are you kidding me? First of all, he has masks. He has body bags. He has enough food for 2 years. He's totally at home with staying home. It's like, I don't have to see another human being if I don't want to, and I don't intend to. So I think Bert, and of course, what finally drove him, we were trying to figure what we wanted to begin with. Bert having left civilization entirely in this, and that's why you have the beginning. This was something we had talked about from the beginning of throwing around ideas, and we saw him as in a kind of jungle or desert island or something, just away from it all. That even living in a solitary bunker in Perfection, Nevada, population 14, was not enough distance between himself and other people. And what was the reason he left? And we tried to invent something silly. In this case, that they wanted to install a sewer system. And, he wasn't about to put up with that government interference in his life. So he got out. But, we just, so between gigs, Bert is isolating. That's what Bert does. Bert sees no one and sits and frets and watches disaster movies.
Okay. So that beard looked amazing. So I hope actually one day you grow that back out. Was that a fake beard or was that a real beard?
That was my beard. Reason being, I started well ahead of time because I knew we were going to be in Thailand. I knew it was going to be hot and humid. And I knew I was going to be getting wet in and out of water and things like that. And I thought, I don't want to have fake hair and glue on my face. It's not, we're going to be redressing that and repairing it constantly. So I simply said to the folks at Tremors, I said, I'm going to start growing a beard about 4 or 5 months in advance of filming. And my dear wife, my dear patient wife, had to get up and look at me every morning looking like that. Hair it started growing in my mouth, and my son got a great kick out of it. He said, you should really let it grow out of your ears totally and out of your nose too. So you can take the nose hairs and sweep them up. And I was like, no, I want to keep the marriage together in some way, in some fashion. So I started growing it ahead of time, and God bless my wife. She was just so patient with it. She's been patient with a lot of things. That's just one of them. But I decided to grow it ahead of time. And so the beard is all mine. The hair, they added extensions. I let the hair go as well, but as you can see, that's thinner. So they added some extensions to really bring it down to this level, to make it much longer, because my hair didn't grow as fast, it seemed to me, as the beard did. But so I just wanted the comfort of having the beard, because I didn't want to mess with prosthetics and things like that. And I went to my agent and I said, between now and Tremors, if they offer me a role, it's got to be a guy with a beard, because I'm not cutting this thing off.
Something I really liked about Shrieker Island was Jean Heater's role. And I know that you've done some comedic stuff. I know that you're famous for that. I actually want to give a little shout out. I like some of your stuff on Tim and Eric, which is, I think, a little more like underground, is amazing.
Yeah.
What is it? The sleepwatching chair?
Watching chair. Yeah. Yeah.
Pursued by bear, you know, one of the best things ever.
Yeah, wonderfully, completely ridiculous stuff. And then I narrated part of their film.
Yeah, that $1 billion movie, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So with Heater, and I know that you obviously worked with Jamie Kennedy in the
Right.
Rescue, who's another kind of comedic role. When working with these guys, is it almost like a different setup? Do you get to wing more? Is it totally scripted? Do you get to kind of bounce off each other? I mean, compared to like working with Burt Ward or somebody like that.
Yeah, right. All right. Let me just say that Jamie and John Heater were prone to wing it from time to time, and we had we knew where we were going, and both of them absolutely learned their lines when absolutely necessary. But Jamie could really go off the cuff, and John Heater from time to time. That being said, it's more difficult for me now. I'll tell you why, because Bert to me is a difficult character. I usually take several drafts. I polish the dialogue for Bert and work in conjunction with the writer, director, and to get it right. I take several drafts to get Bert right, because Bert has a very specific way of speaking. It's never emotional. It's always more tends towards the technical, a very specific way. So I need to polish his dialogue. Somebody asked me recently, would I do an interview as Burt Gummer? And I said, I can't do that. I said, I don't speak Burt Gummer. I can write Burt Gummer. I can invent Burt Gummer, but I can't necessarily invent it off the cuff because I have to keep refining it. So I usually am not all that good on a Tremors set, inventing Burt Gummer. I can to a degree, but I tend to stay away from it. In the same way that Bert is a very precise man, I think of his dialogue as very precise. So I work on it and try to polish it and try to deliver it for the most part the way we've written it. So that being said, I love working with those other guys, but I just work a little differently for Bert. Had it been another character, yeah, I can riff, but Bert is so, I don't know, I can lose him at times if I'm not careful, because he's so precise and I don't want to get Bert wrong. So I refine him and keep doing different drafts.
Okay, so that actually brings me to my next question, because I'm glad you said this. You've been doing this character for, I want to say 20 years, right? Because Tremors, the original
30.
Wait, 30? Oh, yeah, 30. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Oh, it's incredible.
1990 to 20, yeah.
No, yeah, it's crazy.
So then at this point, you are the character. Let's be honest. I mean, you embody him, like you said, you
Right.
write for him. Is there ever times where they bring a script and you're like, Bert won't do that, Bert would do this, I don't like this?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things they've been so kind about letting me do, because I've become, like it or not, the grand old man of this series, of this franchise. And so there are certain things, well, I'll give you a very obvious one. In one of the drafts of Tremors 7, Bert, I know somebody was coming after Bert. I don't know. It was in one of the early villains in an early draft, and Bert, pulled a gun on him. Said, "Whoa, right there. That's it. I had to say no. In none of these episodes has Bert ever pointed a gun at another human being. That's something we've just adopted over time. In a sense, I'm trying to keep it family friendly. It's not about human body counts. If there's a body count, it's because the monster killed the human. The monster was not killed by another human being. In that respect, I think of Tremors as a kind of old-fashioned film where we humans don't kill each other. We band together as this disparate, crazy, cockamamie group of people who would never have anything to do with each other, different as night and day, to come together to deal with a common foe. And so in that respect, that's an obvious thing. Another thing, in one of our past films, somebody had something had escaped me, or I hadn't gotten around to correcting it, and I had to say, "Oh, the Graboids are protecting the eggs, or the Shriekers or Ass Blasters were protecting the eggs the way the drone protects the queen bee." And I said, I can't say that. I said, why? And this is where we were shooting in the middle of shooting. And I said, I'm sorry I didn't catch this earlier, but the drone does not protect the queen bee. The drone has one purpose, and that's to impregnate the queen, and then he dies. The soldiers, the worker bees, protect the queen. The drone doesn't do that. And so I no, just say it. I said, whatever Bert says is precise. And Bert, he's done his homework. If he says something flies at out of a particular muzzle velocity of 1,245 feet per second, that is its exact velocity out of that muzzle. Bert does his homework. He's very precise and very technical. So I can't say the drone protects the hive, protects the queen. It's things like that come up from time to time. And over the years, I guess you could say, Lance, I've become a kind of advocate for Bert, a defender of Bert, a defender in some ways of the franchise, of the tone to a different degree. That having been said, I think the new producers, 5, 6, and 7, and director Don Michael Paul have been wonderful in incorporating it and letting me say my say. I don't win every argument, nor do they. But we've worked very well together, I think, as a team in finding a new voice for the franchise. Tremors 5, remember, began 13 years after Tremors 4. So there was quite a hiatus there, and in some ways a new audience who was accustomed to different things. And,
I'll give you a couple more before I let you go. The original few, obviously, old school special effects. Times have changed. We got more CGI now. For you doing both, do you miss the old days? Do you find it more easier to work with now? Is there any sort of like in the middle for you?
I miss the old days only because creatures in 3 dimension are fun. They're right in front of you. They're doing their thing. You're confronting them. Things are grabbing you and pulling you away. That being said, CGI is not as difficult for the actor. It's all make-believe. I know that puppet in front of me is not the real thing. As much as I know that the guy who's representing the CGI is going, they're coming at you. Okay, it's reaching out. You're backing away. It's like so it's all pretend. I'd rather have the puppet just because, I don't know, 2 objects in space are fun, but CGI is not difficult. I think it's over time I think people are less happy with CGI. 3 dimensions are expensive, and it's all about expense in so many ways. CGI is fascinating, and it's not your grandmother or your grandfather's CGI. It's so much better than it used to be. Where we can get a mix of both sometimes is the best. And we've done that in all of these to a degree. Sometimes something will come crashing through a window. Well, that's not CGI. That's a puppet that's reaching for me, coming through a window in this or that scene. But I've learned to work with both. The difference for me really isn't that much. I think audiences like a mix of both, really.
In A Cold Day in Hell, you switched your hat. You took your Atlanta Hawks, you put your Cubs on. And I say this coming about a mile west of Comiskey right now.
You're a South Sider, huh?
I was going to say, yes, I am.
Yeah.
So my question is, can I get you to admit that you didn't switch hats, you switched teams, and that we're supporting the Cubs? I mean, right?
Yes, I will admit that. Okay, I was a North Sider. I grew up in Chicago. When they won the pennant, it was a no-brainer for me. I went to the producers and I said, look, the Atlanta Hawks have never meant anything personally to me. We picked it. We've been with it. They sent us a lot of hats in Tremors 1, so we used one. My first impulse was, they said, what do you want to wear in Tremors 1? I said, I think it should be a ball cap. I think it should be a sports team. And I think it should be Southern. That's all I said. I think it should be from the South. That might be his origins or something. It was off the top of my head. I said, Southern sports team based ball cap. So we got Atlanta Hawks, and the style of the colors changed over time, but it was always the Atlanta Hawks. When the Cubs finally won the pennant, I went to the producers and said, "Come on, guys, you got to let me. I got to go with my Cubbies." And they were like, "It's all right, yeah, go." So, and I never looked back.
Well, at least I know, because I mean, again, as a Sox fan, I'll be honest, I still love the Cubs. I'm glad they won. I seen the people write the names on the walls of the people that passed. I thought it was beautiful. My Uncle Ted's been waiting his whole life to see this, so it's like I saw a lot of people happy, and I'm glad. And I saw that you're from Chicago, so I was like, when I saw the hat, I was like, there we go. You know, even if it's not the Sox, you're rocking out.
With you, Lance, my father was a White Sox fan, because he came from a small town in Iowa, but a lot of his relatives who had moved to Chicago were South Siders. So I grew up my first influence was seriously Nellie Fox, Minnie Minoso, the great old 50s White Sox. So I became a Cub fan much later, but I started out as a Sox fan, and you know, I still love Chicago, so that's easy for me. I have to wear something Chicago.
Okay, well, I hope to see you back, but if not, I do think this is a great send-off regardless.
Great.
So, and it comes out Tuesday the 20th. I think people need to go see it. You know, VOD, rock it out. And again, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for having me.
And don't forget to vote for Burt Gummer for president.
And as the end of the movie says, pay your taxes, which I thought was kind of funny.
Okay.
All right, my friend. I appreciate you.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Welcome to the party, Bert.
This has to end here. This is it. Lead, follow, or get out of my way.
I'll lead.
That's not an option.